Today we'll be looking at the fifth principle of animation, follow through and overlapping action. So stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Eon and welcome to my Start Animating YouTube channel, the channel that is specifically aimed at everyone that is new to animation. And if that is you, well, you are at the right place, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and also click on that little notification bell so that you can get notified every week when I upload a new video. Well, again, if you are new to animation, well, I've got some great news for you. I've got a free online video training that is specifically aimed at everyone that is new to animation, that have never animated before. And the great thing about this video training is that you will work alongside with me, and by the end of the video, you would have created your very own animation, and you will know the basics of animation like keyframe, etc. And you will be able to go ahead and create your own animation from there on. So it's a great training video. It's about 90 minutes long, so you can pause and you can work alongside with me. So if you are new to animation and you really want to start off your journey, well, then in the description box below is the link. You can just click there and you can sign up for free. I truly believe the best way to improve your animation and to get better at your craft and improve your skills is to actually start animating, and that is why I've called this YouTube channel the Start Animating channel. So today we're going to talk about the fifth principle of animation, which is follow through and overlapping action, and is also known as drag. So let me quickly explain to you guys each one of these, because basically they work together. They work together. I think that's the best way to sum it up. But let me quickly explain it to you. So let's say you have an object. It's just a straight, something like that, straight object. That's not perfect. But then this is stuck onto the ground, this part, and this is the tip. Okay? So that is your object. But when it starts to move, the first thing that will happen is drag. So your top part, this part here, will start to drag. So let's create a new layer. I'm just going to drop the opacity so that you can see better, and then it will start to drag. This will stay there and the top part will drag, as you can see there. And you can see drag is, if this object stayed straight the whole time, it will be there. You can see there is space there. The tip of your object is dragging as your object is moving. Okay, so overflow is now almost the exact opposite. So when your object stops, okay, the stop part, your tip, will now overlap the center point of your object. So now it will, let me create a new layer. I'm going to just drop the opacity of that one. And now this is the bottom part. This is your center point of your object. But now the stop part will overflow. So what will happen is this. And here's the tip part. And this is now your overflow. Okay. So what you're overlapping is basically this whole area. Okay. How much of a drag and overlapping there is, or overflow. That is your overlapping. Okay, so now you basically can see how drag, overflow, and what overlapping is. So if I can just quickly summarize it, your dragging is when your tip of your object is behind the center point when it moves, and then obviously your overflow is when the tip moves beyond that center point of your object when your object stops. So there's many different ways you can use this in your animation. So let me quickly give you a few examples, 4 examples. The first one where you can use it is when it comes to clothing. Okay, so let's say for instance you have to animate a woman that is dancing and she's got a long dress. So as she turns, what will happen? The cloth of her dress will drag. Okay, and then when she stops, the cloth will continue past her. So you can just imagine, go watch ballroom dancing or Latin American dancing, where the woman will have a long dress perhaps. So that is a great way where you will use your drag and overflow. So the dress, the cloth will drag as she moves, and when she stops, the dress will continue past her. Okay. The second way, or the second area where you can use your drag and overflow is with hair animation. When you have hair, so for instance, let's say you've got a rocker and he's head banging. So when he moves his head forward, his hair will drag, and when he stops, it will overflow. And when he goes back, he drags again. When he stops, it will overflow. So your basically drag and overflow is that part will follow the main object. Okay, so for instance, your hair, when it moves back, the hair will follow, it will drag, and then when it stops, it will overflow, and then it will follow your head again, but it will drag behind. So it will always be behind the main object. So here is another area where you can use your animation. Then again, fast moving objects. So for instance, let me clear here and let me quickly show you an example, a fast moving object. So let's say a car, for instance. So the car is standing still. I'm just going to draw a basic car, nothing spectacular. So the car is standing still, and now all of a sudden it is moving very fast. Okay, so what happens? Let me just drop the opacity. So now what will happen? Let's draw the car again. But now the body of the car, the top part, will drag a little bit. Okay, so it will maybe perhaps look like that. Okay, so now you can see this car looks as if it is driving very fast, okay, because the top part is dragging. But now this car is going to brake. Okay, so what's going to happen when he brakes? Obviously, I'm sure you know, the top part will overflow. So now again, let's quickly do that. Let's draw the wheels. You've got the base, and now the top part will overflow your wheels. Okay, so what's happening? Let's quickly run through it. Here's your car, and all of a sudden it's driving very fast, and then it brakes and it goes back to the main object. So the third area where you can use your drag and overflow is with fast moving objects. Okay, and then obviously swinging objects is another one. So for instance, like I've showed with the first drawing, it was like a long object, and if it swings, the tip will drag a little bit. And that brings me to another very important point. As you can remember, with squash and stretch, you can really indicate the mass of your object with squash and stretch. For instance, when the object squash, the more it squash, the softer the object is. The less it squash, the harder the object is. Now the same with drag and overflow. The less the overlapping is, the harder the object is. For instance, it will be like a bat. Okay, the more the overlapping is, the overlapping action, the bigger it is, the softer the object is. It will be like a tail of a dog or a cat, or it will be like a piece of long rubber. It will be more, there'll be more movement. So let me quickly go to my animation software, and I will quickly give you guys an example of this. So here I've got a basic object, and if I press play, you can see there's not a lot of dragging or overflowing. This object kind of looks very hard. Okay, so this might be like a bat that swings. It is very, you can see it looks quite harder. Now compare it to the next one. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. Now here is a second one, same object, but now I've added some drag and overflow to it. Now look how this looks. It just looks a lot more softer. Let's have a look again. So you can see by adding drag and overflow, or increasing the overlapping, you can make an object, you can create the illusion that is a lot more softer. So let's add both together next to each other, and if I press play, you can actually see the effect the drag and overflow has on your animation. It just adds so much more. And you can imagine if you were to animate a dog and his tail is wagging and you make it stiff, there's no overlapping, it won't look natural. But if you add drag and overflow to it, then obviously the tail of your dog will look a lot more realistic. And the same if you were to animate someone with a bat who's swinging it. If you're going to add a lot of overlapping on that bat will look very soft and it won't look natural. So you can actually use this principle of animation in your animation to add more mass to your objects, and so that it just looks so much more realistic. So guys, that is it for follow through and overlapping, the fifth principle of animation. If you want to look or watch any of the other principles, the other videos that I've created, make sure you go into the description. There is a link to the playlist so you can go watch them. And again, if you are new to animation and you want to learn more and improve your craft, then make sure you click on that little subscribe button and also on that notification bell so that you can get notified every week when I upload a new video. So from me, I will see you guys next week with another video. So God bless and goodbye.